Amberstone went bankrupt within 6 months. The building sat empty, lights off, parking lot cracked with weeds. Every time I drove by, I saw more than just silence. I saw the truth finally given room to breathe. Grant got 6 years. 3 others got less. Kyle, he found a job downtown. He still texts me every now and then. Carlos opened his own firm. Small, honest, busy as hell. Me, I joined a nonprofit, helps veterans find stable housing. It's not glamorous, doesn't pay much, but I sleep at night. Jessica and I finally took that Colorado trip. We hiked trails with no signal, slept under stars, and for the first time in years, we laughed without anything hanging over us. I didn't win millions, didn't get the title, but I got something better. My dignity, my clarity, my peace, and I'd trade every corporate thank you plaque for that. Because some promotions aren't about job titles. They're about choosing what kind of man you become when no one's watching. They fired me to erase me, but I found who I was, in the ashes they left behind. The trial took months. 2 times I testified. Carlos 3. Every time we spoke, the room went silent. Because the evidence didn't whisper, it roared. Grant sat there, stone-faced, tired suit, eyes empty. No Rolex, no arrogance, no backup plan. He looked exactly like what he'd always been, a man hiding behind paper and charm. The judge called it systematic abuse of trust. The verdict guilty on every count. Restitution ordered. Assets seized. And the empire he built on fraud, fear, and lies crumbled in front of him. That was the moment. Not when the cuffs clicked. Not when the building emptied. But when the court clerk read the sentence, and I looked at Jessica in the back row, and she smiled, because it was over. We didn't just survive, we exposed. We didn't just lose a job, we brought down a criminal network. And if you've ever been lied to, used, underestimated, you know exactly what that moment means. Justice doesn't always wear a cape. Sometimes it wears a witness badge and a heart that refused to stay silent. If this story hits you in the gut, don't just scroll. Subscribe. Because more stories like this are waiting to be told. And who knows, the next one might be yours. He fired me to shut me up, but I spoke louder with the truth. My name is Ethan Blake. I'm 38. I live in San Diego. And for the past 7 years, I believed I had a good life. Not a flashy life, not a dramatic one, just solid. I'm a financial consultant. I read markets the way others read moods. Predictable, measurable, safe. That's how I've always lived. That's how I loved. My wife, Rachel, once said I made her feel grounded, stable. She said I made chaos feel like calm. We had routines. Coffee every morning at 6:30. She took almond milk. I drank mine black. She packed my lunch turkey on rye. I fixed her car when the engine light came on. No drama, no noise, just us. In quiet partnership. I paid for the house. She decorated it. She picked the colors. I installed the shelves. We weren't perfect, but we worked. At least I thought we did. Looking back, there were signs. But signs only matter when you know what they mean. And I didn't, because I trusted her. And that's the part that still stings. When you spend your life calculating risk, you never expect the biggest one is sleeping next to you. Rachel Blake, 35, marketing manager at Denver Build, a fast-growing real estate firm. Smart, charming, always 2 steps ahead in a conversation. She could walk into a room and know exactly what to say. To clients, to coworkers, to me. We met at a networking event downtown. She laughed at one of my finance jokes, said I was the most grounded man she'd ever met. I thought that was a compliment. Maybe it was. She worked her way up fast, started in content, moved into campaign strategy, then project lead, then management. She loved the hustle, loved saying she was busy, loved late meetings, traveled the thrill of the next pitch. I admired that. I thought her drive was part of what made us click, until that drive stopped coming home. At first it was subtle, new blazers in the closet, lipstick shades she never wore before. Her perfume changed, said it was a gift, from her sister Jessica. Jessica lives in Chicago. They haven't spoken in over a year. Then came the names. New coworkers I'd never met, stories with missing details, trips with vague schedules, and one name that kept showing up, David Carter, her boss. Every promotion, every campaign, every trip, somehow he was always involved. She said he believed in her, said he was helping her grow. He was, just not in the way she told me. It didn't fall apart all at once. No screaming, no slammed doors, just silence, gaps, small shifts that didn't look like much until you lined them up. She stopped packing my lunch, said she was too busy. I started eating out more, alone. Our morning coffees went from shared conversation to side-by-side scrolling. She smiled at her phone more than she smiled at me. The couch where we used to watch movies, now just a piece of furniture. She always had work, emails to finish, campaigns to finalize. I offered to help. She said I wouldn't understand. One night, I heard her laugh. Not at me, not with me, just while texting. I asked who it was. She said it was just Kara, but she locked her phone after. There were 3 weekend trips in 1 month. Always short notice, always for work. Denver, Napa, Salt Lake City. Her suitcase stayed half-packed by the door. She came home smelling different, like a hotel, like someone else's cologne. She said it was just new detergent, and still I wanted to believe her. I didn't want to be the paranoid husband, didn't want to be that guy. So I smiled, nodded, let it slide. But my gut had already filed for emotional separation, and I was about to start listening. I started noticing patterns, and not the kind I liked. Rachel's phone never left her side. At dinner, in the bathroom, at 2 a.m. glowing under the covers. She used to plug it in by the nightstand. Now it lived in her hand, like an extension of her secrets. She changed her password, said it was for work security. She never needed that before. I tried brushing it off, tried convincing myself it was nothing. Just stress, just career growth, just my imagination. But imagination doesn't explain missing earrings, or receipts from restaurants we never went to, or perfume bottles that magically appeared with no tags, no explanations. One morning I watched her put on heels. She never wore heels to the office. She said there was a meeting with corporate. I checked her calendar later. No meeting, no corporate. Then came the name again, David Carter, her boss. He loved her campaign. He mentored her professionally. He invited the whole team out for drinks. I never met the team, never got an invite. And the way she said his name, with that soft, unconscious smile, it didn't sound like business. It sounded personal. I told myself I was overthinking, that marriage gets boring, that maybe this was normal. But deep down, I knew. I didn't have proof, not yet. But suspicion was already living rent-free in my chest, and it was about to take over everything. She told me she had a business trip, 3 days in Denver, big client, high stakes, all hands on deck. I said good luck. She smiled, then turned away just a little too fast. That night I checked Denver Build's site. No press release, no event, no mention of any high stakes client. I checked their LinkedIn. Quiet. Then I remembered something. She left her work badge on the kitchen counter. I flipped it over. No travel authorization card, no out-of-office note. It felt small, but it wasn't. The next day, she sent a photo. Hotel lobby, white marble floors, expensive lighting, champagne glass in hand. But something was off. I zoomed in. The logo on the wall behind her, not in Denver. It belonged to a hotel in Sonoma, wine country. Not exactly corporate training. I reverse searched the image, found the lobby. Rachel hadn't just lied about the city. She'd lied about the entire trip. Later that night, she called me, said she missed me, said the meetings were exhausting, said she was going to sleep early. But the photo she posted on Instagram posted 2 hours later. New dress, holding wine, with a caption, "Sometimes you have to choose yourself." No mention of work, no team photo, no tag for the company. Just her, looking free. And I was starting to feel trapped. Not in a marriage, in a lie. The tracker ran quietly in the background. It logged every connection to our home Wi-Fi. Phones, laptops, smart TVs, even the fridge. At first everything looked normal. My phone, Rachel's tablet, the printer, nothing out of place. Then, one evening around 8:43 p.m., a device popped up I didn't recognize. iPhone 14 Pro Max, serial code unlinked. named DC Private. Rachel uses Android. Always has. She complains about iPhones, says they're overpriced and hard to sync with her apps. But this iPhone, it had been connecting to our network for weeks. Same time every night, roughly between 7:30 and midnight, right when she said she was too tired to talk. I checked the logs. It wasn't just passive connection. The phone was streaming downloading messaging, high data activity. On 3 occasions, the IP location pinged directly from our bedroom router. It was there, inside our house. I didn't hear footsteps, didn't hear a door, but someone had been inside, with her. Someone she trusted enough to give the Wi-Fi password. Or maybe someone who brought their own key. The worst part, Rachel never once looked nervous. She smiled, slept peacefully, kissed me goodbye in the mornings. Meanwhile, my house was no longer my sanctuary. It was a crime scene in progress, and the weapon was trust. I ran a deeper scan. Not just network traffic. I wanted cached data, temporary files, anything left behind by that mysterious iPhone. And the system delivered. Hidden inside the router logs were fragments of encrypted messages, compressed video thumbnails, chat history from a popular secure messaging app. It wasn't hard to guess the sender. One message read, "Tonight was perfect. Same time next week." Another, "Ethan's clueless. I almost feel bad, almost." The name on the contact DC, David Carter, and then the photos. Rachel, wearing a silk robe I didn't recognize, standing in our kitchen, laughing on our couch, lying in our bed. Not selfies, not professional shots, photos taken from the side, from behind, from someone else's perspective. He had been here, in my home, in my space. They documented their affair like it was a vacation. Every angle, every memory, every violation. She once told me trust was like glass, that once it cracked, you could never unsee the fracture. Now I understood. Because in that moment, my love for Rachel didn't just break. It shattered. Quietly, completely. And I didn't cry, didn't scream. I saved everything. Exported every file, backed it up to a secure drive. Then I called someone. Not Rachel, not David. My attorney. Her name was Sandra Miles. Family law specialist. 20 years in divorce court. I didn't bring emotion to our meeting. I brought evidence, photos, chat logs, network reports, security timestamps. She read silently, page after page. Then she looked at me and said, "You're not here to ask if she's cheating. You're here to plan how this ends." Exactly. I told her I didn't want drama. I wanted precision, clean cuts, no room for reversal. Colorado's a no-fault divorce state, but Sandra explained something powerful. Adultery, when documented this thoroughly, can tip everything. Property division, debt assignment, even restraining orders. She asked, "Do you want the house?" "Yes." "Do you want her out?" "Definitely." I asked if I could freeze our joint accounts. She nodded. "If you're the primary holder, yes. Move fast but legally. This isn't revenge, it's control." Sandra began drafting the paperwork. Divorce petition, asset protection request, emergency order to remove Rachel from the property, restraining clause for David. Before I left, I asked her one last thing. What happens if she lies about everything? Sandra didn't blink. "You already caught her once. Let's make sure she never gets the chance to lie again." I walked out of that office with a plan. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. I didn't confront her, didn't change routine, didn't hint that I knew a thing. That's what Sandra told me. Keep her comfortable. People get sloppy when they feel safe. So I smiled more, cooked dinner, asked about her clients, pretended to care. She said David was sending her to Phoenix for a weekend conference, said she might stay an extra night for team bonding. I nodded. Sounds exciting. Inside, I was 3 steps ahead. I scheduled the locksmith, changed every lock, front door, garage, patio. I transferred our joint savings, 50% my legal right. Opened a new account, my name only. I forwarded our mail to a P.O. box, rented a safe deposit box for the evidence, printed everything. I even updated our Wi-Fi password, quietly. Midday. That mystery iPhone stopped connecting the next night. She texted me from the airport. "Boarding now, miss you already." I replied, "Have a great trip." She never left the city. That same night, I installed monitoring software on every smart device in the house. Cameras, motion sensors, thermostat logs. Everything synced. Everything recorded. At 8:17 p.m., motion detected in the bedroom. 2 heat signatures. 1 male, 1 female. Rachel wasn't in Phoenix. She was in my bed with her boss. And that was the last lies she'd ever tell inside my house. 10:42 p.m. My phone buzzed. Security alert, unknown access from bedroom window sensor. I checked the cameras. There they were. Rachel, David, laughing, drinking wine, the one I bought for our anniversary. He poured it into my glass. She wore my hoodie. They kissed like they owned the place. But I had the deed. And something better? A plan. I called Sandra. You ready to serve them tonight? She said, already have a process server parked on your street. I grabbed the folder, the photos, the logs, and the keys to the new locks. Parked 2 blocks away. Waited for the green light. 11:30 p.m. Text from the process server. Ready when you are. I walked to my front door. New lock clicked clean. Light still on upstairs. I nodded at the server. He walked in. Calm. Professional. Said the words loud and clear. Rachel Blake, you've been served. Divorce on grounds of adultery, asset concealment, and trespassing. David came down shirtless, confused, angry, until he got his own envelope. Mr. Carter, this is a formal no-contact order. Leave this property immediately, or we call the cops. Rachel's face went pale. She reached for me. Ethan, we can talk. No, I said. We could have talked 3 months ago. You chose secrets. Now live in them. David said something under his breath. Didn't matter. They left together, but only one of us had a home to return to. Rachel moved out the next morning. Didn't say a word. Just packed. Took clothes, makeup, a few books. She left the engagement ring. 2 weeks later, we were in court. Sandra laid it all out. Photos, video logs, network data, bank transfers, the secret credit card, the printed emails about changing her last name before she even filed. David didn't show. Coward. Rachel brought a lawyer. He tried to argue emotional pressure, said I was controlling, said she was pushed into someone else's arms. Sandra smiled, then pulled out the Wi-Fi logs. Timestamped. Undeniable. The judge barely looked up. Ms. Blake, you willingly engaged in deception cohabitation with a third party in the marital home and financial concealment. The house stays with Mr. Blake. All marital savings revert to him. You will assume your own credit card debts. You forfeit claim to any future assets. Gavel down, done. Rachel didn't cry. Not until we got to the lobby. Ethan, I made a mistake. I looked at her, looked through her. No, Rachel, you made a plan, and it failed. 3 days later, I got a letter from David's company. He'd been terminated. Fraternization, misuse of company resources, loss of trust, no severance, no references. Rachel applied to 3 firms. All turned her down. Word travels fast in Denver. They moved in together. Small apartment near the airport, 1 bedroom, no dishwasher. She wanted the fast life. Now she had it, just without the fast lane. 6 months passed. No word, no calls, no messages. Until one morning, I opened my phone. 1 new text, unknown number. It's me, Rachel. I know I don't deserve it, but I miss you. I miss us. He's not who I thought. Everything's falling apart. Can we talk? I stared at the screen, read it twice, then 3 more times, and I felt nothing. No rage, no satisfaction, just quiet. She was reaching out from rock bottom, and I wasn't going to be the rope. I deleted the message, no reply, no closure, because not every betrayal deserves a conversation. A week later, I ran into Kara at a bookstore. You look good, she said. Better than the last time I saw you. Rachel called me last month, said she regrets everything, wants to fix it. I smiled. Too late for that. She had everything. Now she's learning what nothing really feels like. Kara nodded, didn't argue. You were the best thing that ever happened to her. She just realized it too late, maybe. But I wasn't her lesson anymore. I was just the last page in her chapter. And me. I was already writing the next book. On my terms. With peace and silence. I didn't need revenge. Not anymore. I needed space. Stillness, silence. And I got all 3. The lock stayed changed. The Wi-Fi stayed mine. The memories filed away like old code no longer in use. I sold the bed, painted the walls, removed every trace of us. No more scented candles she never lit. No more wine glasses she never washed. I bought a new coffee maker, not because the old one broke, but because she picked it. This time, every item in the house was mine. Chosen, kept, earned. I took trips alone, read more, started running again. The weight I'd been carrying gone. People asked if I'd date again. Eventually, maybe, but not for healing, because I was already whole. Rachel wasn't my heartbreak. She was my awakening. David wasn't my rival. He was a symptom, and me. I wasn't a victim. I was the one who saw clearly, acted quietly, and walked away fully intact. So if you're listening and you've been lied to, cheated on, left in the dark, don't wait for an apology. Don't beg for answers. Don't lose yourself chasing closure. Sometimes the strongest move is walking out without slamming the door and never looking back. If you've ever been betrayed, if someone you trusted looked you in the eyes and lied, I get it. I know what it feels like to doubt your worth, to rewind every memory and wonder, was any of it real? But here's what I've learned. The betrayal, that's on them. How you rise after it, that's on you. You don't need to scream. You don't need to burn everything down. Sometimes the loudest revenge is rebuilding in silence. Truth has its own gravity. It pulls everything into the light eventually. So if you're standing where I stood, in a quiet kitchen, holding truth in one hand and pain in the other, choose you every time. Choose your peace. Choose your self-worth. Choose your boundaries. And when you're ready, walk out of that storm head high heart whole. Because no one can take your power unless you hand it to them. And hey, if stories like this remind you to never settle, never shrink, and never forget who you are, then hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories, more truth, more moments where the quiet ones get the last word.